Cristiano Ronaldo had just walked off the field with a smile on his face. Only weeks earlier, he and Diogo Jota had stood shoulder to shoulder, holding back tears of pride after helping Portugal defeat Spain in the Nations League final. It was a moment filled with triumph, brotherhood, and the promise of legacy. For Ronaldo, it felt like a chapter that was just beginning. But in the cruelest twist imaginable, that chapter would close before anyone was ready. Diogo Jota's life was looking like a dream come true. At only 28, he had everything he had ever worked for. A thriving football career with Liverpool, a supportive wife named Ruth Cardoso, and 3 beautiful children who adored him. Just days before, he had married Ruth in a joyful, intimate ceremony. The smiles in every photo felt like a promise of forever. The children were dressed in small suits and soft dresses, friends toasted to love and loyalty, and there was a quiet belief that good things really do happen to good people. Jota had just returned from Portugal's latest win, reminding fans why he was one of the nation's most dependable attackers. Back in England, Liverpool celebrated another Premier League victory with him by their side. It felt like everything was aligning. He wasn't just a star anymore. He was stepping into the most powerful stage of his life, with family and football moving in perfect harmony. But fate doesn't wait for anyone to catch their breath. Days after his wedding, Jota decided to take a short trip to Spain with his younger brother, Andre Silva. Andre wasn't a global football star, but he shared the same love for the game, playing for a smaller Portuguese club. They had always been close. Even after Jota's rise to fame, he never forgot where he came from or who had been there in the beginning. This trip was supposed to be about brotherhood and a moment of quiet before the season began again. Just 2 siblings driving through Spain, talking about childhood, laughing, and dreaming about what was next. But that dream turned into a nightmare. On a quiet stretch of road, sometime after midnight, everything went wrong. A bright yellow Lamborghini carrying the 2 brothers veered off the road. Witnesses told police the car had been attempting to overtake another vehicle when something sudden happened. It skidded violently, and within moments, it burst into flames. Emergency services arrived quickly, but it was already too late. Both Jota and Andre were gone. Just like that, the world was left trying to understand something that didn't make sense. Only days before, fans had watched Jota smiling, dancing at his wedding, holding his children close, and looking more alive than ever. Now, his name was being spoken in the past tense. The silence that followed was heavy, a breathless kind of stillness, like the world was trying to pause time and rewind the clock to before midnight on that quiet Spanish road. But there was no going back, only forward, only grief. Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the first to respond, and his message said it all. "It doesn't make sense," he wrote. "Just now we were together in the national team. Just now you had gotten married." His words didn't sound like those of a world-famous athlete. They sounded like those of a man in pain, someone who had just lost a brother. Because for Ronaldo, it wasn't just about losing a teammate. It was about losing a friend, a young man he had watched grow, win, and finally step into his prime, only to vanish in a single night. As the news spread, Portugal woke up to headlines that felt like a cruel hoax. Fans didn't want to believe it. Liverpool FC released a short, heartbreaking statement asking for privacy for Jota's wife and family, and the silence that followed only made the loss feel heavier. In Spain, police began investigating immediately. The crash happened just outside Seville on a quiet road known for sharp turns and uneven surfaces. Witnesses said the Lamborghini was speeding, trying to overtake another vehicle. One moment it was just another late-night drive, the next it was a fireball that lit up the dark highway. Firefighters arrived, but the vehicle was already engulfed. The bodies inside were burned beyond recognition, forcing authorities to use other means to confirm identities. For Jota's family, that confirmation felt like losing him all over again. And then came the mystery that only deepened the pain: who was behind the wheel that night? Both Jota and Andre were found in the front seats, but neither survived to tell the story. Without clear witnesses, the answer remained out of reach, leaving behind whispers, theories, and painful questions. Was Jota driving, or was it Andre? Could it have been a tire blowout? Was the car defective? Or was this simply a tragic accident? Social media exploded with speculation. Photos of Jota at his wedding were reposted with candle emojis. Videos of his goals were replayed in silence. His smile, once a symbol of hope, now looked frozen in time. What made the loss even more devastating was the closeness of the timing. Only days earlier, Jota and Ruth had exchanged vows, whispering promises of forever. Now, Ruth had gone from bride to widow in the span of a single week. For her, forever had lasted just a handful of days. Cristiano Ronaldo's tribute was short but heavy, wishing strength to Jota's family and expressing a grief that needed no explanation. Coming from a man known for composure, it felt deeply personal. Ronaldo wasn't trying to be the star. In that moment, he was simply a friend, heartbroken. Tributes came from everywhere. LeBron James called the loss unreal and sent prayers. Liverpool players changed their profile pictures to black. Portugal declared a national day of mourning, and matches across Europe paused for moments of silence. Commentators choked up on live broadcasts. Fans, even from rival clubs, lit candles outside Anfield, whispering Jota's name in the 28th minute of matches. But through the global mourning, one question still remained: what exactly caused the crash? The investigation uncovered surveillance footage from a toll booth showing the Lamborghini speeding minutes before the crash. Police leaned toward a tire blowout theory but kept the possibility of mechanical failure open. An eyewitness claimed he saw the Lamborghini fishtail while overtaking a dark SUV before disappearing from view, followed by the explosion. The SUV driver later came forward, saying there was no contact, but the statement only reinforced the theory that overtaking might have triggered the final moments. There was no black box, no digital log to explain what happened. Without a surviving driver, the definitive truth remained out of reach, leaving the world with nothing but grief and speculation. Amid the chaos, people revisited Jota's last interviews, particularly one after the Nations League final, where he said he was looking forward to spending time with family, joking that his brother was planning to keep him up late for a night soon. In the light of the tragedy, those words felt like a whisper from fate. Rumors spread that Andre may have been driving, as some sources close to the family hinted Jota was tired that night. But nothing could be confirmed, and the truth seemed to have died in the flames, leaving behind only shadows. The loss deeply affected Ronaldo, known for his emotional control. Reports claimed he canceled interviews, skipped training, and flew privately to Portugal to visit Jota's family, staying with them for over an hour in quiet support. For Ronaldo, this was family. Teammates shared stories of Jota's kindness, with one saying, "We had just talked about our kids growing up together. Now I don't know how to face mine and explain this." It wasn't just a football loss. It was a loss of a father, a brother, a friend. And then, another detail emerged that made the tragedy feel even heavier. Hours before the crash, Jota had sent a voice message to a friend, full of laughter, joking about his wedding and how his youngest child had finally slept through the night. At the end, he said 6 words that now felt haunting: "Tell everyone, I'll see them soon." Those words echoed across social media, a tragic reminder of the life that was about to end in the most violent, final way imaginable. It was later revealed that Jota and Andre had been planning a surprise family vacation for Ruth and the children to celebrate the wedding, the end of the season, and the birth of their third child. Jota had already booked a beach house and arranged gifts for his children. "I owe them some real time," he had said in a message. Those plans would now never happen. Fans posted photos of candles beside toy footballs, children wrote letters in Portuguese thanking Jota for teaching them to dream, and one letter simply said, "Thank you for showing me how to dream." Tributes continued globally. UEFA released a memorial video. Liverpool lit up Anfield in red with Jota's jersey number glowing in the night. Portugal's Prime Minister called him a national treasure lost too soon, and discussions began about naming a youth training facility in his honor. But for Ruth, the tributes couldn't erase the pain. Friends described her as numb, unable to speak, living in silent grief as family cared for the children. One friend shared that she had written Jota a letter she couldn't yet bring herself to read aloud. "Sometimes she whispers his name," the friend said. When the private funeral took place, heavily guarded and filled with sorrow, Ronaldo arrived alone, wearing a dark suit, saying nothing to reporters. A photo from the service later went viral, Ronaldo standing by Jota's coffin, his head bowed, a single hand resting on the wood. A moment of stillness in a world that hadn't stopped spinning. Yet, the question of who was driving remained. 2 weeks later, the final forensic report quietly arrived and was leaked to the press. It confirmed that Jota had been driving when the tire blew out while overtaking, with speed contributing to the tragedy. No alcohol, no reckless racing, just a rare moment of freedom turned fatal by a split-second failure. The news ended speculation for many, but for Ruth, it brought a different kind of pain. Knowing her husband had been driving meant carrying a quiet burden, a truth that would live with her forever. No one blamed Jota, but the knowledge was its own kind of punishment. Ronaldo didn't comment on the findings, returning to training, but those around him said something in his energy had shifted. He smiled less, spoke less, and when asked how he was coping, he quietly said, "Some losses change the game. This one changed my heart." From the ashes of tragedy, something unexpected began to grow. Youth academies across Portugal began holding Jota Days, where children would wear his name and play in silence for the first 5 minutes of matches. Liverpool announced a scholarship in his name for underprivileged children. Fans from rival clubs joined Liverpool supporters in lighting candles at Anfield during the 28th minute of matches, singing Jota's name. But the most powerful tribute came not from stadiums or federations but from a child. At a private family memorial, Jota's eldest son, holding a football too big for his small hands, quietly said, "I'm going to be like Daddy." No quote could capture the weight of that moment. No headline could describe it fully. Because in that single moment, everyone finally understood. Diogo Jota wasn't just a footballer or a celebrity. He was a man who lived fully, loved deeply, and left behind a legacy too powerful for any tragedy to erase. So, if you remember him today, do more than light a candle. Speak his name. Tell someone about the kindness he showed, the way he played, the way he loved. Because in the end, that's what truly lives on, not just the goals, not just the trophies, but the humanity behind the legend. Rest in peace, Diogo and Andre. You are loved. You are missed. And you will never be forgotten.